recent.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, John.
Okay. I had recently, this week, had a final interview at a company. So, very excited. It's one of like a great company, like one of my dream companies to work at. So I'm hoping hopefully it goes through. Um, so I'm I was just wondering about like I've already sent the thank you letters to everyone I met with at the final round. And so later this week, I was going to follow up with HR. So is it better to call the HR person, or is it better to email just to follow up and just say like any questions that you would like lingering questions to answer, and just say I'm excited to join the company.
Absolutely. So those are great questions. And we're going to get to even more of those after we get started again. But John, here's my suggestion. Having sat on that side of the desk, okay, if you're in the middle of doing something, answering your phone is not high on your priority list. So I might call and leave a message, but I would also send an email because I think the email is more likely to be responded to.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay,
Thanks.
absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with doing both. But for many of us, if we're in the middle of things, we don't stop to answer the phone.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
So we'll go there. Okay.
Hey, Linda, real quick on the opposite-ish kind of side, when your potential employer says this is government, it takes a while. Obviously it is. So you're not going to follow up as much, after a week or so. What would be your recommendation knowing either they said that or it is? Do you wait like 3 weeks and just kind of say, just wanted to check in? I know government moves a little slow. Want to see where I might be? Because, that when they kind of throw that out there, you don't want to be the pest.
Absolutely. You never do. And by the way, I would never say, I just want to check to see where I am. Okay. What your response is in those follow ups, and I love the idea of doing the follow up, the response should be, I'm really excited. Is there any additional information I can provide? Because it should be more about them again, and it's that interest as opposed to what their time frames are. Because honestly, they can't stick to a time frame as much as they want to. And responding back just to say, we're still in the process doesn't give them much, but the idea of, is there anything additional that I can provide? Now they have a response that they can actually give if they choose to. Or, we're just moving along, and they'll usually tell you where they are in the process in response to that kind of a question. But it is more about you and the job as opposed to, I want to be hired now. Why aren't you acting fast?
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so I notice that people are starting to put things in the chat, and that's fantastic. So I'm going to introduce myself, and then we're going to let Sue introduce herself, and then we're going to move forward. So my name is Linda Brubaker, and this is Lunch and Job Search Lunch and Learn. We do these every Wednesday, and what I love about this group is that it is a group where we can not only share information and ideas, but we're here to support one another in the job search. And that support continues not just here on screen or when you're viewing the replays, but in our private chat. Now, as you know, I'm recording this session. So if you don't want to be seen on screen, it's okay to change your name, to turn your camera off. We don't care. But we want to make sure that we're here to support you in the ways that you want to be supported. We have a private group on LinkedIn. Now, a private group on LinkedIn means that it's not available for anyone to just find. It is an unlisted group. In order to join that group, you have to either ask to be invited or to be accepted, or I have to be able to invite you. Now, I can only invite a first level connection. It's another reason for you all to connect with me. Okay, and connect with each other. But you can also request access to that group, and I only approve people into that group if they've actually attended these sessions or if they've registered for these sessions and say, I can't attend. So it is a very private group. It is a very safe group where you can share information. You can ask for advice. We can share resources, we can ask questions, and we can support each other in that group. Now, the videos themselves will be available not only in that group, but the videos are available on YouTube as well. The YouTube folks can watch the replay, but they don't have access to the group. So it's a really important thing to be able to be part of that group and to share our information and support that way. So now that I've said that, okay, I'm Linda Brubaker. I'm a job search coach. I am a former recruiter, a former headhunter, a former HR business partner, a former HR hiring manager. And I've been a dedicated job search coach for the last 7 years. I love working with you all, not only in this forum, but if anybody is looking for individualized support, please reach out. I'm happy to do that as well, because that's what my business is. But here's where my give back is. I love doing this kind of a resource and providing you all with this support, because job search is hard and we're all in it together. And we're here to support you in any way that we can. I'm going to put my information in the chat while Sue introduces herself.
Thanks, Linda. I'm known as Sue Mentors in the virtual world, but many of you already know I bring the pom-poms. I'm the mentor with pom-poms, although for today, I'll be here for half of today. So let me know your successes right away so you can get your pom-poms if Linda's starting with those. I have been mentoring. LinkedIn let me know that I actually posted in March of 15 years ago that I had started Sue Mentors, started about that time. I work for a lot of mentoring programs. I also have a mentoring practice, but I'm known for my course on professional presence, a short course free of charge that you can come and learn about all aspects of what I call professional branding, because I work with a global audience all over the world. And most of those people don't understand and don't necessarily want to call it personal branding, but it's the same thing. How do we get ourselves known and noticed in the virtual world? And how can we use our own unique qualities and achievements to move forward? So would welcome connecting with those of you who I haven't met. It looks like some new names are here today, Linda, but I haven't been here for 2 weeks, so I know I've missed time. And Linda lets me come to this because I learned so much from you all, and I'm also able to contribute as well. Thanks, Linda.
Absolutely. And Sue is a mentor to all of you. She's a mentor to me. So I really appreciate all of her support. Let's start very quickly. Excuse me. Start very quickly with some of those successes. If anybody has a success, please raise your hand. I'm going to stop this for a second. Okay. All right. We've got Frank and then Lewis.
I'm feasting right now, Linda. I have 5 interviews this week with 5 different companies. So
wow,
I'm tired. Yeah, 2 more tomorrow. So, and then I had a third of 4 yesterday. So hoping something will happen soon. Thanks.
That's absolutely fantastic. Congratulations. Let us know how we can help and support you. But, you know, fingers and toes crossed. All right. Thank you. Lewis. Lewis, you're muted.
You know how they always say it's hard to break into certain industries or with people. I applied for a job with the Nashville professional soccer club, just for kicks. A lot of times I'll do that when I have a few minutes. Now I got an email saying she wanted to have a phone conversation with me, which was awesome. So we set that up. It was last week. The disappointing news is I didn't hit the portal in time before the job closed, but here's the opposite side to it. She said she liked my resume and background so much she wanted to have a conversation with me. So if there were any future opportunities that I saw or that she saw, which I know she's real busy, so it'd be more me, at least I would be in that realm of, oh, I remember Lewis, we had a conversation. Let me talk to him again and then send him. So, very hard to break into the sports industry if you're not already doing it, had an internship in it, or don't know someone personally. So when I got the email, I was quite shocked, but I was very happy to at least have a conversation with him.
Absolutely. And, by the way, send me a message on LinkedIn. I think I may have a sports related contact for you.
Okay, great. Thanks.
All right. Anybody else? Now, one of the things that Lewis was saying was the idea that the portal was closed. So if we're talking about job search, trick or treat, that portal being closed isn't necessarily a deal breaker. What that means is that if you have those connections and you can make those connections on LinkedIn and say, hey, I'd like, I missed that. I want to do that to send this in. Many times what will happen is that you can send your information in for gee, I'm interested, don't have a specific role at the moment. That means that your information will still be in their system. And then when you contact someone on LinkedIn, you can say, hey, I've applied. I missed the portal opening, but my resume is in there. Would you please take a look? I'd love to have a conversation. Your information is in their system already. So that's not a bad thing. Okay. And many times what happens when that portal closes is that I say I have enough resumes to take a look at for the moment. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to continue to actively look at some of those other resumes that come in, but I'm already in the process. I may not find my ideal candidate and you may be the one. So don't let that necessarily stop you. Okay, Julie.
Yes. What was my, yes, my question is regards to, this one position. The last time I emailed the recruiter was a couple weeks ago, and it's been a couple times since, because he's told me that the position, has been paused. We did one phone interview. So my question is, do I keep following up every couple weeks? Because he hasn't responded to my last text from almost 2 weeks ago, if the position is still paused, that is.
Okay, so when you applied, did you set up an account on their system?
I applied on their site, and then he called me, the recruiter, for a phone interview we had. And then he said he'd let me know, and this has been over a month and a half ago. And the text a couple weeks, last month or before, he said that the position's been paused because the plan manager's been covering for people that are sick. So the last, yeah, so I don't know. I mean, the last communication that I texted him, that is, was less than 2 weeks ago. I haven't heard from him since. So do I keep pursuing? Do I hold back? I mean, one real good perk of the job, I'm just saying, it's only 3 minutes from my house. That's one, and I know, I mean, I can literally walk there.
Yep, that's wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, so.
For all of these, jobs are going on hold more often than they used to, and we're seeing that. I'm also seeing job openings are going down a little bit in certain industries. So whether the idea of being able to follow up for that kind of idea, since he told you that it is on pause, continuing to ask him whether it's out, whether it's open, is not necessarily a good thing, because then it is again that stalking kind of a feeling.
Right.
I would say you start looking for other opportunities, even though this one is close. Never put all your eggs in one basket.
Right, which I haven't, of course. No, I keep, of course. Yeah, I just want to know if I should still pursue it or not.
But I would pursue it in a different way. I would probably start looking to see what they're doing on LinkedIn, seeing if there's something that you can post or comment about, and do it that way, as opposed to directly reaching out to ask how things are going. If you reach out again, I might reach out and say, I know that y'all are swamped. Is there something that I can do to help you? Okay. As you move forward. Okay. Or give them a specific area. If you know that the plant manager is covering for lots of different people, are you, would you be interested in having me come in on a contract basis, just as a kind of way of helping out, because I know how swamped you are. Okay. That contract offer is another way of you demonstrating your skill set and your value, because if you're already on scene in that contract role, even on a volunteer basis, come in for an hour or so a week, you now become that known commodity and you become that person who's there to help them. And that makes things work.
Well, speaking of real quickly on volunteer, I did just start a volunteer position online here about a week ago for a startup company. Just, like a couple days a week, couple hours. I was, they through a LinkedIn connection and approached me about it. And I thought, well, you know what? It would look good on a resume, and it gives me a purpose too, in a sense, instead of just searching for jobs, and that. So
it absolutely does. And add that to LinkedIn, but don't call it a volunteer position necessarily. Don't put it under volunteer, put it in as
Okay.
experience. You can list it as volunteer as part of that, but you want that to be your current experience.
Okay, that was gonna be my next question too, because I don't want to take it away. You want about adding that, of course. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Okay. John, I think you're next. By the way, any more successes before we move on to this? Okay, I don't know this. John, I'm going to move you off. We'll do yours, and then I'm going to tell you one that I just got notice about this morning. So go ahead, John.
Okay. So as I mentioned before, I did have a final round interview with many people at a great company. And I just wanted to thank you for a lot of the questions that you had suggested that I asked. Almost everyone loved the questions that I asked for them. So I wanted to thank you for that. That I think it really helped a lot. And yeah, and I'm just waiting to hear back. So I'm hoping to hear good news soon. But just wanted to thank you for all of your help.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. That's fantastic. That's what we're here for, is to provide that help and support. Okay. And I love sharing the success. Okay. And now I'm going to be selfish for a minute. John, if those questions helped, if we got some support either from Lunch and Learn or me personally, share them. Okay. Not just in a post, perhaps, or in a LinkedIn recommendation. I'll take all I can get. Okay. We all will, right? But as we're doing these Lunch and Learn posts, for example, if Lunch and Learns help you, comment on those Lunch and Learn event pages to invite other people so that we can grow this group. Okay, we've got on screen right now 48 people. So we are growing. We can do up to 100. And I would love to be able to say, you can't come. I don't have any room. So let's see what we can do to continue to provide that support for other people. Okay. Thank you. And keep us posted, John. I think that's great.
Okay, thanks. I certainly will.
All right. So I don't know, is Susan Kleinschmidt, are you on screen today? She wasn't sure that she could make it. Susan texted me or messaged me this morning to tell me that she's starting a new job on Monday. I don't know whether you remember, but Susan talked about it last week, where she'd been contacted. She had that LinkedIn green banner up, and she was also talking to other people that she used to talk to. Somebody who saw that green banner, somebody she used to work with, okay, as a contractor, wasn't a direct person, saw it and said, hey, by the way, would you like a conversation? It has turned into a job. And she is starting Monday. She is actually going to be taking a job. I'm trying to remember what the title is. I'll find it and put it out there. She may put it into the private group because that's where she was getting some of that support. And she asked some of those questions. But they've actually put this together. It is a small company. It's doing some government contracting, and she's going to be taking a major role in that company, all because she had that green banner up. Somebody contacted her and said, hey, is this a conversation you might be interested in having? So those things absolutely work. You never know where it's going to happen. Okay, let me go into messaging and see if I can find it. Okay. she wanted to be able to share it with us. She's going to be a director of proposals and growth for a small federal contractor. Okay, and this was somebody that she had done some sideline work with, okay, in a previous role. And now that relationship has turned into a new opportunity. So if she shows up on the screen, we're going to be able to congratulate her. But if not, congratulate her in the private group. And when she puts that post out there talking about the new job, guys, go ahead and support each other. Congratulate her for that as well. Okay, thank you. Okay, Danielle. Unmute, Danielle. There you
Yeah,
go.
sorry. I just wanted to mention that I actually took a job offer for a 2-month contract assignment. So yes, good news. But I am still looking, which because I don't really know where the 2-month contract might lead.
So anytime you take a contract, you're always still in that job search mode. They know
Mhm.
it, you know it. Contracts may be extended, they may not. But if nothing else, what it does is it not only gives you that current income, but it gives you those current references and other points within that company, as well as some new skills that you can expand on in the job search. So never turn down a contract. Danielle, I know you've taken several of them, and I know that's not your goal. Your goal is that permanent job.
Mhm.
Okay. But I think it's a great thing to do. So what are you going to be doing?
It's going to be working with data, so data entry.
Okay. Very good. Congratulations. Keep us posted and keep looking. Keep letting us know how we can help.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Lori.
Oh, I think I did it by accident, but I do have something to say. So there is a Wayfair opening right by the first brick and mortar store. And my cousin called me, who's been out of work a long time, and she said, go over there. And I was like, I'll work in the back room. And the reason I'm telling you this is as I'm walking out, the man said he stopped me and he called me back. Okay, it's only going to be like 3, 4. I'm like, I can only do these hours, these hours. They don't pay very much, but the friends and family discount, which you all will get it when it works out. So just let me know. You get it online too. Um, and I'm doing it because, as my cousin said, you put it on your resume that you were responsible for or however I phrase it, for the opening of the very first brick and mortar Wayfair store. And I have to tell you, it hurt a little bit. I had to come to grips with what they pay. But if anyone's in Chicago, they're looking for people, and they could not be nicer than anyone I have ever met. So, and I'm only going to do like 4 hours a week at the most, starting end of May. Just gives me something to do. Plus, I love retail.
It does. And it gives you, again, that's something to add to that resume as a current job.
But it does hurt. I'm not gonna lie. It's like, okay, but money is money. And then there's another one, if anyone's in Chicago, it's called Ideal Sampling. And they pay $30 an hour. I know it's not a ton, but you work 3 hours. That's it.
Mhm.
And it's liquor sampling. So if I'm like piecing stuff together just to keep busy and get a little cash flow in. And you never know who you meet. And I've met these people through meeting people. And it turns out the head of the Wayfair store that's opening, he graduated from UW-Madison, and I went there, and my family's from there, and the whole bit. And his degree is neuroscience. And he's like, we're going to be opening up more stores. I want you on the floor. I want you learning about the business. And I'm like, well, I'm looking for a full-time job. And he's like, well, we could pay you, but I don't think I can't. You know what I mean? So, but the point I'm saying is, you have to be open-minded, and I like purple. So who knows? So I'll keep you posted. It's not till the end of May. And you know what? Maybe it's time to just do some stuff to keep you busy. And to your point, you never know.
You never know. And the other thing is that when you're doing some of that, taking that break from the job search. Okay. And I'm not talking about full-time break. I'm talking about just walking away for a couple of hours, that 4 hours a week helps put things in a different perspective and you come back a little more refreshed. So I think it's a great idea. And you're going to add
Well-
new skills to your resume too.
And we'll see. Who knows? I mean, so definitely if anyone needs something by the end of May, I'll keep you posted.
Yes,
'Cause
please.
they're looking for people, obviously. It's a 150,000 square foot store. It's massive if you live in Chicago.
Yeah,
It's
I've
where-
driven by it, but
Yeah, oh yeah, and I live not far from there. So, you do what you have to do, and money is money. So,
and being busy is also important. Absolutely.
yes.
Okay. Thanks, Laura. Congratulations.
Oh, I do have one other thing. Can I say it?
Absolutely.
So I was called back to something and she was like, send me your final questions. We were on the phone for a long time. She said, you weren't in the batch because I'm the higher end of their range, which I understand. And I'm taking a lot less. It seems to be what's happening out there. And from what I hear from a lot of my friends, and now they went silent again. So I'm like, well, I guess I must be batch 3 if I make it to batch 3. But I'm just kind of moving forward. But there was someone who he runs the company, and I got the worst ding letter automated I've ever gotten in my life. And a friend of mine who used to be on here, she was like laughing. It was automated, but it was basically like, we don't ever see you working for us.
Oh
Oh,
my
yeah.
goodness.
I got it last night. I first put in my resume, and the worst part is do I tell the CEO or do I just let it go and move on? Because I will never hire them as an agency after this experience.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, message me afterwards, Lori.
It was horrific. I mean, when I read, and you can tell it's computer generated. I mean, I will. It was pretty
Please.
demoralizing. And then I started laughing because I have a bet with someone who used to be on here who gets the worst ding. And she's like, you definitely got the worst one. It was, no one should do that. I mean, we all know that they're computer generated, but it's like, I mean, they had my resume maybe like 3 hours and then I got it.
No. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm laughing because I'm like, all right, I guess Wayfair it is.
Yeah, at least for the moment. That's okay. Yeah, let's share that and let's talk about it.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Danielle. Unmute. Unmute. One of the things with the technology is that I can mute you guys, but I can't unmute you. All right. There you go.
All right, I couldn't find the button there. Sorry. Okay, so I do have a couple questions, but success, I think this is a success, is tomorrow I actually have a 7th interview.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. So a 7th interview with the senior vice president of a major medical supply company. And, I like to be in the pharma industry
Right.
as the freight forwarder. So the HR, they're super, super good about communication. They're awesome. But the HR lead told me that once I make it to this phase, it's a very good sign that, I don't want to say it, but that I could possibly be hired for the job. So, I'm going to prep up and get ready and go for it. But yeah, 7 times, like I interviewed with 2 people twice, the HR lady, another a lady that just knows about the position, and now the senior vice president. So, I mean, I'm thinking that's good. And like someone just said that I've been laid off now twice since the pandemic. And now this would be the lowest paying job that I've had in like 20 years. So it's a little disheartening, but I'm thinking too, and it's an age thing too, because over 60 is a little rough, but I'm hoping if I I am selected for the position that, the HR lady had mentioned that there was room for advancement. So I'm just going to go for it because right now it's like the only opportunity that I've, been offered so far. And I do keep sending out resumes, not as fast as I did during the pandemic, like right after the pandemic, because I told myself just to go at a slower pace because mentally it was just not helping me at all. So there's that. And then I am getting flooded with contract work. And I'm just pausing on that because I'm getting unemployment. I'm paying for the COBRA. The contract work doesn't give you insurance and
Not normally.
okay. Yeah,
Now,
that's what
I'm going to make a slight change to that. So normally a contract work will not pay insurance. However, there are some companies that are using an outside firm to hire their contractors. Let's say that the company hires lots of contractors. So instead of directly paying them out of their budget, what they will do is they'll hire a firm, say, Robert Half, okay, who does a lot of this. And they'll say, Robert Half, we want you to manage our contract staff. If that's the case, then Robert Half, because they manage those contract staffs for so many different organizations, they may offer benefits to their contracts, the people who are doing the contracts. Okay. But you basically pay the full cost. But at least it's still that group plan, so you get something there. So you can check and see. That grew up over the last 5 years or so. I haven't seen a lot of them advertising that yet, but it does happen.
okay, yeah, I don't see any advertising of that. And when
They're not advertising it, then it's not.
then they're not offering it.
Right.
Okay.
The
'Cause,
standard
they're
rule of the
just-
contract is that it is not. It's like paying for the service. It is not hiring an employee.
Yeah, so I guess for me, I'm just a little leery about that right now. And I mean, I'm still, I think, a little new in this. I mean, I think it's been 5 weeks now. So I'm trying to, before I would take a contract position, I guess I'm trying to find a full-time job.
Absolutely. And by the way, as I mentioned earlier, even if you take a contract job, and contract jobs actually have a bad reputation, but they're not a bad thing to do. It gives you the chance to expand the skills, to expand those current references, to put a current employer on your resume and on your LinkedIn profile. But whenever you take a contract position, it doesn't pause your job search.
Right.
Continue to look. There is an implied assumption on the part even of the employer that they know you are going to continue to look. So nobody's going to be surprised when you leave. They know it's not a real job. Shouldn't say that. They know that they aren't offering you a full-time job, at least not at this point.
Okay.
But good luck and keep us posted.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I think our vendor is next.
Yeah, I think she's up.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much, Linda. I have like two information to share, and one is a question. And I'll start with that first. You know that open to work, there are two options given to that. One is for the recruiters only, and the other one is for everybody in your LinkedIn. When you choose recruiters only, then that green thing doesn't show on your profile.
Correct.
So what is your advice? We should have it only for recruiters or for all LinkedIn members?
So if you are currently working and looking for another job, then you want it recruiters only. But if you are not currently employed, or if you're employed only in a contract role, my advice is you want it open to everyone. That idea of recruiters only doesn't mean I'm a recruiter and I'm going to see it. It means I'm a recruiter and I'm paying about $149 a month for a program called LinkedIn Recruiter. Fewer than 1/3 of the recruiters using LinkedIn are actually using LinkedIn Recruiter. So you're severely limiting your reach.
Okay.
Okay. My recommendation is open it to everyone.
Okay. Okay. I'll do that. Because I had done that in the past, and then I think I felt like I was at a, people were like thinking like that I'm at a receiving end. Like I didn't have a, I felt like I didn't have a strong position to position myself, but like I now get it. I should open it to all.
It's strictly your own choice. Okay. And you're going to see lots of pros and cons, lots of different opinions on LinkedIn. My feeling is that opening that green banner will help. It tells me as a recruiter, hiring manager, networking potential connection that you're open to receiving a conversation. Okay.
And I just wanted to share, like, I've had 3 opportunities that were going very strong, and some of them started off from end of January and went all the way up to 7 different interviews. Last one was culture fit and everything. But then I did not get that job. I was like really, really looking forward to that one. But I did not get it because they said like there was nothing wrong in my profile. I was still a very strong contender. I was the second best candidate because they found somebody with a more professional industry experience that they were looking for. And then the other one, also something similar happened. And now I have one more that is like a true match to my profile, but and initially they were going very active, and then the recruiter reached out. The recruiter who found me reached out and said that they're going to slow down for 2 weeks because they want to bring other candidates up to that same level of interviews that you've had. So I like following up. I feel like whether I should just sit tight for 2 weeks and then follow up, or like, it's kind of nerve-wracking.
Remember, the follow-up isn't where do I stand? Where is the process? The follow-up is I'm excited to move forward to the next steps. Is there any additional information I can provide? Or I just saw this article. You've probably already seen it too, but I thought it was so interesting. I wanted to pass it along. It's more about them, about what you can do, remaining interested and letting them know that you are, but not asking them where you stand, because then that becomes that needy as opposed to I'm excited. What can I do?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Linda,
Yes.
I just wanted to pass on some information to folks. And this is only unfortunately for the Chicago area, but there's a significant job fair in Kendall County, Illinois this Friday from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Fox Valley Family YMCA in Plano. It's sponsored by IDES, Illinois Department of Employment Security, and WorkNet. Those typically are a little better job fairs. Now understand this is Kendall County, so it's not going to be huge, but for anybody in the western suburbs, it might be worth a look. So that is this Friday from 1 to 4 p.m. in Plano at their YMCA.
That's great. So what I'm going to ask guys is if you know information about potential job openings, or you know about job fairs, any of those kinds of recruiting information, that's what our private group is all about. Share it there because it's going to reach a broader audience. We currently have 208 people in that private group. Okay. And that's more than we have here, but it's a way of getting that information out so that other people can benefit as well. And if you see that information, go ahead and share it with other people. Okay, you can't share a post from the group. You can't share a private group post, but you can copy it and paste it into something else and send it to someone else. Or you can share that post as part of a message to somebody else in the group. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can do this.
Linda, one thing. Can I also, like, I recently got a new certification, so can I share that information directly with the hiring manager because she had communicated with me earlier?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, that's an update.
Linda, I have a quick question
Yes.
on your opinion on this. As we are using technology nowadays, companies are as well. The newest, it's probably not new, but the newest thing is you fill out your application and on it, it says, can we send you text messages or do you want to opt out, yada, yada. Some of them don't, and then they just directly text you. I don't have a problem with it. It's just that sometimes that's the only way the company now will respond. You've applied, like I applied for something yesterday. I got a text this morning asking me a question. Didn't send me an email, sent me the text. I don't say that's impersonal. It's just, what is your opinion in how that, and how should we check the box saying, should we say yes or no? Because some people just don't want that. But apparently, if you say no, companies are just going to be like, well, he doesn't want to join the crowd of everyone else, so we're not interested.
So I've not heard that being a screen out kind of a thing yet. Okay. They're required to ask whether or not you want to opt in if they're going to be trying to send them. They can't just send it, supposedly. They cannot just send it without you opting in for those text messages. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about that right now, Louis. One of the things that we find is that it is easier for them to just do that automated something by text in many cases than it is by email. I'm not quite sure why. Strictly up to you at this point, whether you choose to be part of it. Does
Okay,
anybody
yeah.
else have any feeling for it? Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some research.
Yeah, that's why I asked. I would just like to hear a little more because, again, I don't mind responding to their text because the text actually was a question of, hey, do you use any of this technology and how, or have you and how
Okay.
often? So I read it in the job description, but it didn't really have a way to answer it. So
Okay.
what they're trying to do, they're like, all right, let's see if he's got any experience and, he respond to this. So of course I'm going to be very brief and see how far they want to take it because I don't want to rule myself out.
No, I think that's a great idea. Okay.
Yeah.
I would be careful though. Make sure that it is a standard text. It is not a WhatsApp text.
It doesn't look like it. It just says, asking me about it. So it didn't look like any spam text.
Okay. We're finding a lot of WhatsApp, and those really are not appropriate as part of job search. Please don't respond to those.
Well, because I'll add one other thing. It says if you prefer to no longer receive them, press, respond, stop.
Right.
So you do have that option, but it's just saying, hey, I see you applied for the role. Do you have any experience with X, Y, and Z?
Okay.
And I could just say yes, and then see if they go.
Yes.
How far they go.
Exactly.
Okay. But yeah, I appreciate any research over time that you can come up and tell us, your opinions or ideas about it.
Absolutely. In fact, would you do me a favor? Just LinkedIn message me and remind me.
I will. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Rosanna.
Thank you, Linda. I have a quick question. I've recently been invited for a phone screen for a job that I applied for, and they gave me their Calendly. I have an option between Monday and Friday, and I'm assuming other candidates also do. I know this is a minor detail, but is it better to go first or last? I'm wondering if I go first, will they forget about me after all the candidates? Or if I go last, will I be more memorable? Or I know it's silly, but
It's actually not silly, and I
Okay.
wish I had some great research for you. I will tell you that it is better to be either first or last than in the middle.
Okay, that works. Thank you.
Okay, it's hard to really say. Yes, there is that whole idea of the primacy effect. The first one that I see is who I'm going to judge everyone else against. And then the last one, okay, is the one that's going to be most prominent in my mind at the end of the process. But most good hiring managers, most good recruiters will keep enough notes so that they'll make those comparisons as they go along.
Okay, thank
What's
you.
most important is, regardless of where your interview is, that you send them that follow-up within 24 hours. And that you not only do that, you connect with them, even for a phone interview, you're going to connect with that person on LinkedIn or send them a connection request. You are going to you're going to follow the company page on LinkedIn. You
Yes,
are
I've
going,
done that.
okay, you're going to comment on some of the posts if you can, to keep yourself top of mind, whether you're first or last in the process.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. Okay. Now, I love all of these back and forth questions. In fact, I like them so much that what we're going to do is, starting the 1st of May, the first session of every month, we're going to do just a broad open job search Q&A. Okay, where any question is fair game, as opposed to having a generalized topic. So think about that on your calendar. I'm going to start advertising it next week. But the idea is that the first session of every month is going to be a job search Q&A. Ask us anything. Okay. All right. Anything else that we can talk about today? We got off topic, but actually this was a broad-based topic. What kinds of tricks and treats and issues are you seeing out there? Because LinkedIn often feels like an April Fool's joke. We've got the scam job. We have the recruiter who may or may not be real. We have all of these follow-ups and we're not really sure what's going on. The job gets put on hold. All of those issues, and your questions have all dealt with all of that. So I thank you for that. Any other questions? Okay. Because what I do want to do is be able to get into some of that networking. And for those of you who can stay, that's great. You get to tell me, because I have the time blocked today. What I'd like to do is do a 20-minute session. And then for those of you who want to, I'm willing to do a second 20-minute session with a different group of people. Strictly voluntary, obviously, all of this program is, but it's your choice whether or not you want to do that. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to put you into small groups. They're going to be groups of 3 or 4 people. You're going to have 20 minutes. The idea here is, I'm not a believer in the social Saturday, okay? The idea of just padding your numbers. If we're talking about networking, if we're talking about building those connections, the idea is that you have to actually start developing those conversations. And that's what I envision these sessions to be. So this is learning more about each other, finding out what you're interested in. Maybe come out with some target companies. Here are the kinds of jobs I'm looking for. Do you have any advice or suggestions? Share information about yourselves, but more importantly, ask questions to learn about the other person. As part of this, remember to do your basic pitch, right? I am, I can, I want. Here's who I am. Here's what I can do. Here's what I'm looking for. And then any other information that you want. Find out about the person. Because remember, conversations, networking is built on those relationships. And here's an opportunity to start building some of them. Anyone have any questions before I do that? Because what I'm going to do is, I'm going to actually turn the recording off.